versus usted in Spanish. When do you use which? Well, in today's video, you're going to learn exactly that. Tú is used in informal settings. So this will be used with friends, family, people that you know. You can also use tú with people who are much younger than you. So let's say you're speaking to a child, you can use tú. There is no reason to use usted. So something like ¿Cómo estás? This ending here lets us know that we are speaking in the informal tú. Okay, ¿Cómo estás? Whereas with usted, we use it in formal situations. So with someone who is older than us, with someone that we do not know, in a professional setting, like at work, for example, with your boss, you would say something like, ¿Cómo está? How are you? So notice how both mean, how are you? However, one is informal and one is formal. The easy thing is that all you need to do with the informal tú is just add an S onto the end of the word. And with usted, we would just cut that S off. So, ¿Cómo estás? Versus ¿Cómo está? Now, sometimes when you are speaking to someone with usted, it's possible that they won't want you to speak to them in usted. The reason is because sometimes it makes people feel like they are old. Okay, because when you're speaking to someone with usted, while it is polite and respectful, people can also view it as, oh, we're speaking to me with usted because they think I'm much older than them. Okay, so someone might say something to you like tutéame, literally meaning use tú with me. And this actually happened to me one time. I used to work at a frozen yogurt store and I was speaking in Spanish with a customer and I was using usted. And she said, ay, mijo, por favor, tutéame. Please use tú with me, okay? Because sometimes when you use usted, people feel like, no, that's too formal or you're making me feel old. Just use tú, por favor, okay? Now, the general rule of thumb is to start with usted when speaking with someone. So if you don't know someone, it's the first time meeting them, feel free to use usted. Unless you're being kind of introduced to someone by your friend, well, then you could use tú in that example. But if you're just meeting someone, maybe you're at work or you're at a party, but you're just kind of randomly chatting to someone, or if you're at a restaurant, whatever, use usted, okay, as the rule of thumb. Now, here's the thing. It's not the end of the world if you use tú with someone when you should be using usted. Recently, one of my students who works as a flight attendant said to me, you know, Nate, I work on the plane and I don't know if I should speak to customers with tú or usted. And I told her, always start with usted. However, if they're younger than you, use tú. And if someone says to you, hey, just use tú with me, it's not a big deal, then you can use tú. But here's the thing. If you accidentally use tú, or if you feel more comfortable using tú, it is not the end of the world if you use that when you should be using usted. The reality is, a native Spanish speaker is going to understand, oh, well, this person is learning Spanish, so while they should be using usted, I don't view it as disrespectful that they're using tú because I can tell that they are learning. That's why I say it's really not the end of the world if you do end up using tú. Also, a quick side note, notice how there's a little accent on the word tú. That is because tú with an accent on it means you. When you cut off that accent, the pronunciation of the word is exactly the same, but it now means your. So how do you know the difference? Context clues. So, for example, when I say to you, tu casa, I understand that I'm saying your house instead of you house, because it wouldn't make sense to say you house. That is why context is king in Spanish. Okay, so tú meaning you, but tú without an accent means your. It's just like with the word sí and sí. Sí without an accent means if, but sí with an accent means yes. They're pronounced exactly the same. However, the meaning changes based off of the context of the sentence. Okay? So, here we have some examples. Que quiere would be the usted form. Que quiere, what do you want? Whereas que quieres would mean what do you want informal. Okay? So let's say I'm talking to my friend. Que quieres? What do you want? Or let's say I'm speaking to someone at my work and I say que quiere. Okay? What do you want? It's formal. Okay? Or ¿Cómo te llamas? What is your name? ¿Cómo te llamas? This is informal. Notice how here, this verb, llamar, is a reflexive verb. And I have lessons here on the channel talking about reflexive verbs and why we use these little pronouns. You can also check out the link in the video description to join our Fluent Spanish Speaker Academy, and you can learn all about reflexive verbs and weird little pronouns like se, for example. Okay, so ¿cómo te llamas? Literally translating to, how do you call yourself? Okay? ¿Cómo te llamas? Kind of a fun fact there. ¿Cómo te llamas? What is your name? Or ¿cómo se llama? What is your name? Formal, right? So tú, ¿cómo te llamas? Or usted, ¿cómo se llama? So when in doubt, use usted. However, it's not the end of the world if you end up using tú when you should be using usted, because a native Spanish speaker will understand, oh, this person is learning Spanish. It's not a big deal that they're using tú when they should be using usted. And if someone were to get upset or annoyed with you for not using usted when you should, for using tú when you should have used usted, don't take it personally. That has more to do with that person than it does to do with you, okay? Bueno, muchas gracias por ver este video. I know this was a quick video, but I hope you learned something new. If you want to check out our Fluent Spanish Speaker Academy, click the link in the video description. Our goal is to help you have a 10-minute conversation in 90 days without feeling unconfident. So you can check it out by clicking the link in the video description. Muchas gracias y espero que tengas buen día. Hasta luego.